Hi everyone, this is Mary. Welcome back to Cards TV. I'm so glad you could come by today. I have another example of paper quilting for you on this 5x5 inch square card. It's all done in black and white. I think that gives a very dramatic look, and this is called the star pattern. And I went to stamping.com under their paper quilting and found this pattern, and there's a few others there that I want to try, and I just think it turned out really pretty in the black and white. And I don't know if you can see it, but one thing I did on my white squares is I first took my cardstock and ran it through the Cuttlebug with my Swiss Dots folder because I wanted to have a little bit more texture, and that gives you a little texture but not too much. So it just gives a little more interest to the black and white. And also, let me show you the picture that I printed out at stamping.com. This is the star pattern, and I just clicked on it and saved it in my computer, and then I printed it out. So you can go there and look at the other ones and see if there's any that you might like to try. But they don't have a square in the middle of theirs, and I did add one. And the paper that I'm using, the pattern paper, is double-sided. It has a black and white pattern on one side, and the other side has black and white polka dots. So I thought that would be pretty just to add that to the center, and I turned it on its point and added a button and a bow, which they also don't have in this one. But I just think it really adds to it. This one is a little bit more complicated than the other one I did, which was a 9-patch, a variation on a 9-patch. And while I'm showing you this card, a lot of you had asked me again about what the inside of the card says. It's "Friends are like quilts, a patchwork of warmth and comfort." So that's what the inside says. This one has a little bit more country feel to it, I think. It's a little bit more of a homey card. I love the colors, and I also did ink around it. This one I did not ink around because I like that it's kind of dramatic in just that it's black and white. I really like the look of it, and it's kind of crisp and clean, and I wanted to keep it that way, so I didn't do any inking on this. So I'm going to come right back and tell you what you need to make this card. To make this card, which is a 5x5 square card, you'll need some black cardstock, which you've cut at 5 inches by 10 inches. And you're going to score it in the middle and fold it in half. Then you're going to need a white mat, which is right here, and your white mat is 4.5 by 4.5. That's going to go there. Then you'll need a black mat to go on top of that, which is 4.25 by 4.25. You're going to need a base for your quilt square, which is going to be 4 by 4 in the white. In your pattern paper, for your center square, you'll need one in a coordinating color. It doesn't have to be polka dots, and you don't have to do yours just in black and white. You can use colors if you'd like. You can make this star pattern out of any paper you'd like to, but I did use one square in the center. That's the black and white polka dots. For my pattern paper, the pieces for my square, I have 4 of these black and white pattern papers, and if you look, I've cut them on the diagonal, so there'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. So you need 4 of those. And you're going to need a white base to put the diagonal on to make it easier to put the star together. So your white base squares, just plain white, which you will use to make these right here, you're going to need 8 of these, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then in your white that you've run through the Cuttlebug, you're going to need 12 of these. And these, you'll have 1 in each corner, 4 in the center, and then the rest you will cut on the diagonal to match up with your diagonal pieces of your patterned paper. So I'm going to come right back and show you how we're going to put this together. The first thing we're going to do is put together our base squares with our diagonals. And we're going to have everything ready so when we start putting our quilt square together, it's all done and we don't have to stop and be piecing together more squares. So we know that we're going to need 4 of the diagonals in the patterned paper. And if you use scissors with a longer blade, you can make one cut and not have to go halfway and then start again, and you'll get a straighter edge. So we're just going to come across and cut 4 of our pattern papers on the diagonal, and then we're going to do the same with our white squares that we've run through the Cuttlebug. So I'll go ahead and do these and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got all my diagonals cut, and I'm going to take one plain white base square, we have 8 of these, and take my tweezers and take one of my pattern papers, and I'm going to use the 2-way glue pen for this because these pieces are smaller, and just put some 2-way glue on the back and just line it up on my little square and press it down. So there's half, and then I'll take one of the ones I've run through the Cuttlebug, do the same thing, line that one up, and I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these, and you can see that's going to be much quicker and easier when we start putting these in. So I'm going to get the rest of these done and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got all my diagonal pieces put together, and I'm laying out my pattern on my 4x4 inch quilt square base. And when I get my pattern all glued down and laid out, then we'll start putting this together. Okay, I've got all the pieces glued down on my square, and just like with the first quilt square I did, you can take your scissors and flip it over, and if you have any pieces hanging over or even on the front, go ahead and trim those off so it's nice and square. We're going to add our little polka dot square to the center, and I'm just using my little glue runner, and I'm lining up the points on the lines where the squares come together, and that way I know I've got it exactly in the center and it's straight. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and put it on our base, and then we'll add our button and our bow. A few of you have asked me about how I tie my bows, and I'm really not all that good at it. It's just trial and error, and pretty much just pulling on your ribbon until you get it the size you want it, and just keep playing with it till it looks like you want it to look. And sometimes it'll twist on you and you have to twist it back, and sometimes I don't even use the front of the bow where I tied it. I'll flip it over to the back side because maybe it'll look better. Now see, this one didn't turn out so well, so we're going to try that one again. I didn't keep my ribbon straight, I let it twist. See, it's twisting again. It's much harder with the smaller ribbon, I think, too. There we go, that's better. And just keep pulling on the tails until you get it the size that you want it. That's about it right there. And then you'll have to keep coming back and adjusting. But that's pretty much all there is to it. I think that one's probably good. And we'll trim off the tails. And we'll put this on with a glue dot in the middle of our button. Don't know what we do without glue dots. Okay. It's going to go right there in the center. And I've got my card base here, and we're going to put our quilt square on our card base, and we will have 2 cards. Give this one a try, guys. I think you'll really enjoy doing this one, and it turns out really pretty. Thanks so much for coming by today, and I'll see you again soon. Bye now.